wanted to quit my 9-to-5 job, my main focus was on my savings account. How much money do I have? How long is it gonna last? Am I gonna make it to the end of my lease? But after quitting my 9-to-5 and making it past the 6-month mark without going back, it's become extremely clear to me I was focusing on the wrong things. So today we're gonna talk about the 6 top financial mistakes you're making that are keeping you stuck in your 9-to-5 job. Number 1, spending money to free up time. A lot of people who want to leave their 9-to-5 job want to leave because they're experiencing a lot of burnout and stress. So while they're currently in their 9-to-5 jobs, most of them think the smart thing to do is to outsource as much of their personal to-do items that they can to free up space and energy for something else. Maybe that's hiring a cleaning service or purchasing a meal kit delivery service. Maybe it's even as simple as ordering a ton of takeout food from restaurants. I know that's what I did. And it could even be those sneaky costs like getting a new cell phone because you want your phone to be faster, or getting better appliances in your house like a better vacuum cleaner or a better washing machine or a better dishwasher. Anything that's going to improve your quality of life because you have the money to spend. All with the premise of trying to free up your time and make more time to do what? And that's the mistake I see with this financial decision. You're freeing up time to do what? Most people who are spending money to free up time are doing it to end up spending more time at their 9-to-5 job that they actually want to quit or leave. The only time this would be a good financial decision is if you're freeing up the time to allow yourself after your 9-to-5 to focus on whatever your passion project is or business that you're trying to start. Number 2, spending money on professional development, schooling, certificates, anything that's focused on the career path you're currently in that you actually want to get out of. When I was in my 9-to-5 job, a big push from my company was to take the FE exam so I could eventually get my professional engineering license. Now, some companies are willing to upfront the cost to pay for this, but others do not do that. And you're required on your own dime to pay for study materials, booklets, the actual exam registration, and things like that. If you know that you don't want to be in your current career field, then you should not be spending money on professional development, certifications, any of these things. Don't waste your money in a field that you don't want to be in. And stay tuned for the later tips to see what you should spend that money on instead. Number 3, signing up for luxury purchases that keep you financially stuck in your current job. For example, this could be a car lease or loan, a mortgage or apartment lease, a gym membership, year-long subscriptions that you're paying for upfront, or any type of monthly subscription that is on a contract basis. Now, I'm sure you're thinking right now, but Paige, I need a place to live, I need a car to drive, I like going to the gym. Those things are important and it makes sense to purchase them in some instances. But the problem isn't that you're signing up for these commitments. The problem is you're signing up for them using your current salary. For example, when I was in my 9-to-5 job, I was making between 60 and 70K per year. So if I'm looking for an apartment, most people are going to take the 30% rule. They're going to say, okay, I can spend 1/3 of my salary on my apartment, which for me would mean I should spend about $1,200 per month on rent. The funny thing about this is I was actually spending closer to 50% of my salary on rent. So once I got to the point that I wanted to quit my job, I still had about 7 months of my lease left. And the problem was my lease was priced for someone who was making at least 60 to 70K. After I quit my job, I was not making 60 to 70K per year anymore. So if you are trying to quit your 9-to-5 job to leave the corporate world and start your own business, start your own passion, do whatever else you want to do, or even just make a career change to a field that does not pay as well as your current career, then you really need to consider this before you make any more financial commitments. Take your current salary and divide it by 3. So for me, that would mean I should be looking at a $20,000 to $23,000 salary. From that is the money you should consider that you will have when you're making these financial decisions. So if you're looking to get a mortgage and buy a house, you shouldn't be considering your current salary. If you're looking to get a new car, you should not be considering your current salary. If you're thinking about signing up for that luxury gym, you should not be considering your current salary. The only time that you should sign up for these things with the backing of your current salary is if you want to stay in your job. So if you are debating leaving your job, if you want to pursue something else, then ignore what your current salary is and pretend you make 1/3 of what you currently make anytime you make a financial decision. Now, obviously, if you know what the salary would be that you are switching to, for example, if you have a business that you already have success in and you're going to quit your job once your business reaches a certain income threshold, then by all means consider that salary when you make any financial decisions. But ignore what your 9-to-5 salary is, because if you're trying to get rid of that job, that is not money you should consider when making these decisions. So you might be thinking right now, then how do I decide what things I should be spending money on? How do I decide how much money I'm going to be making? And how can I lower my expenses if I'm already at a point that I have all of these financial commitments? Well, I actually have a Notion template that may be really helpful for you. It's been 9 months now since I quit my 9-to-5 job, and since then I've realized a lot of the things that I was spending money on that did not align with what my goals were for my future. So I created this Notion template to help anyone else out there who is trying to lower their expenses, increase their income, and align their finances with their goals. If that is something that you're trying to do, then check out the link in the description to get this template delivered directly to your inbox right now. Number 4, not saving up for a quit cushion. So at the beginning of the video, I talked about how my main focus was on how much money I had saved up. And while this is important, there's another layer to this that I had ignored when I was quitting my 9-to-5 job. If you scoured the internet for videos about if you should quit your job or how to prepare financially, most people say that you should have about 6 months of expenses saved up before you quit your 9-to-5. And so that's what I was considering as well. The issue was I didn't have 6 months of expenses saved up to quit my 9-to-5. I was currently spending at a level of about $4,500 per month on average while I was in my 9-to-5. So if that was the case, I was going to need to have about $25,000 saved before I could ever quit my job. Actually, more than $25,000. Now that was almost half of my salary. So how in the world was I ever going to do that, especially when I was almost spending all of my monthly salary each month on all of the things I discussed that we shouldn't be spending our money on if we want to quit our 9-to-5s. So one thing I want to allow you to consider is that you don't need 6 months of your current expenses saved up to be able to safely quit your 9-to-5 job. If you go through the Notion template I mentioned a minute ago, then you'll be able to see what your actual required monthly expenses are instead of your average monthly expenses. For me, it ended up being that about 50% of my monthly expenses were on non-essential items that did not in any way align with my goals to leave my 9-to-5 and pursue a non-traditional path. I still say you consider saving up a cushion that will last you 6 months post quitting your job, but instead of basing it off of number 1, your current spending, and number 2, that you're going to be making $0 after you quit your job, I suggest you look at number 1, what things you actually need to spend money on each month to figure out your required monthly expenses, and then number 2, how much money you could realistically be making after you quit your 9-to-5 job. Do you have a side hustle that you're already doing that makes X amount of dollars? Do you have a part-time job that you're going to get to be able to make some actual cash while you're starting up your business? Or are there any gig work jobs that you can do while you're working on your passion projects to make ends meet in the meantime? That's personally what I did, and I actually got to a point where I would have been able to make enough each month to cover my monthly expenses in my current living situation in Washington, D.C. Another layer I added on to that was deciding to leave Washington, D.C. since the cost of living there was so high that it really didn't make any sense for me to be there anymore. Since leaving D.C., I'm going to be able to lower my required expenses even more while potentially keeping my income at the same level. Now, the thing is here, your income is going to fluctuate and change if you're doing any type of non-traditional path. That is important to keep in mind. So I suggest you consider that you will have the funds to cover half of your required expenses and assume that you're going to be able to cover the other half by any money you're making on a month-to-month basis. From that number, you can multiply that by 6 to get the savings cushion that you should have before you quit your 9-to-5 job. But at the end of the day, this is all based on your risk level and how willing you are to take that jump, take that risk, and potentially run out of money, potentially have to move in with your parents, potentially have to do some other fallback plan. And at the end of the day, the only person that can decide that is you. Number 5, not paying yourself first. A lot of us have a mindset where we focus on getting our income, getting our monthly paycheck in, paying the bills that are required of us to pay, such as your rent, your insurance, your grocery bills, your dining out bills, your credit card bills, your student loans, and then looking at the money you have left and allowing yourself to use that money to buy whatever you might want to buy. The problem with this mindset is that it leads us to spending the money on things that we actually don't find important because we are prioritizing the necessary bills before we ever prioritize what we want and what we want to invest in. While you're still in your 9 to 5 and you have the money to do so, I suggest that you consider investing in yourself first. Instead of looking at how much money you have left over after your required expenses, decide what it makes sense for you to invest in. Maybe it's a new camera if you want to start a YouTube channel, or maybe it's a new laptop if you want to start any type of online business, or maybe it's even an online course that's going to further your education and allow you to gain the skills you need to pursue the passion that you want to pursue. Once you pay yourself first by purchasing these items that are going to further your education and your skills, then go and pay your bills. It might seem counterintuitive, but it really is going to train your brain and change your mindset to focus on investing in yourself, investing in your potential business, and then worrying about what bills need to be paid for that month. If you view it this way, you're much more likely to make more money to cover those bills through gig work, side hustles, new clients that you're taking on. Whereas if you pay your bills off first, now you have really nothing pushing you to make more money to then invest back into yourself. It's a lot easier to pay bills that seem scary or that are going to affect your credit and have lifelong consequences versus working extra or doing extra gig work jobs or side hustles to make money on top of your required expenses to then pay for things such as educational courses, new equipment, things like that. And lastly, number 6 is not investing in yourself and your passions. Now, this kind of connects back to number 5, where I talked about investing in equipment or investing in educational resources to further your passions and further your business that you're trying to start. But the key thing I want you to take away here is that you need to make sure that you're investing in these things before you quit your job. Don't wait until you quit your 9 to 5 and don't have that consistent salary to buy a camera to start a YouTube channel, or buy a new computer to start that online business, or sign up for these courses, or pay for a mentor or a coach. Do the work now, spend the money while you have it and you have that safety net of your 9 to 5, so you can try out these different things and see what actually lights you up and brings you joy and what you actually want to pursue. Because the reality is, until you make that first investment and start working on that passion, you're never going to know if it's the right thing for you and if it's the thing you actually want to pursue after you quit your job. If you are at the point where you're debating leaving your job and you're wondering when you should say enough is enough, then you should watch this video next, where I talk about the final straw that made me quit my 9 to 5 job for good. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to download that Notion template down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.